Hello and welcome to Redstall's Red Flags, where we talk about the hot topics of the day. Welcome back to Redstall's Red Flags. Last week's episode was so successful that I wanted to invite Mark Reed himself to come to my home to discuss some issues currently. How are you doing, Mark?
I'm doing great. Thank you for doing the last episode. I thought it was really informative.
Thank you. It's very exciting. It's coming down to crunch time. So I want to talk about Brad Sherman's failure to face you in public debates. Why is he doing this?
Well, if you look at him and what's happened in his office, I wouldn't want to face anybody either. I mean, he's had all these sexual allegations and rape allegations from his chief of staff. He's been written up for having the meanest and intimidating atmosphere within his own office. I mean, would you even hire a company that had that kind of a reputation?
Certainly not. I doubt anyone would.
Absolutely not.
So you're making him very nervous because he's not one. He's 2 decades, he's old and whatever. But you're making him very nervous by people wanting to support you for Congress. So what's he doing? He's suddenly now come out of the woodwork, and all he can seem to do is go to the local schools and bribe the students.
Yeah, he's going to local high schools, and I've gotten several emails from a lot of the families that are really upset because they're bribing him 5 credits, to go there and listen to his indoctrination of their children. And these are Catholic schools, they're Christian schools. What his biggest problem is, what I'm talking about that's making him nervous, is family values. You know, what are the values of the San Fernando Valley? It is about morality. It is about the 5 pillars of character. It is about doing the right things. And he's failed in every single one of those. We can talk about the national topics, but let's just talk about the core issues of the kitchen table issues that all families talk about. And that's our children and the next generation. He's destroying that with his intimidation, his screaming and yelling at his own staff, his senior staff. Like I said, rape allegations, sexual harassment allegations that have forced his chiefs of staff to step down from the state assembly. It's abominable what he's doing to the San Fernando Valley and the great families in the San Fernando Valley.
Mark, tell me about this purple ribbon.
I was at a Purple Ribbon Heart event last night where it talks about domestic violence. And it was really important to me because my family has suffered from domestic violence. My wife's family has suffered from domestic violence as well. And in going there, it was like therapy for me in a sense. Listening to women and their survival is unbelievable. But I knew this already because of my opponent and his violence and his predator-like actions in his own office, where he has hatred, intimidation, whipping his staff like they were dogs. That's got to stop. I mean, this is not American values. This is not the San Fernando Valley values.
Absolutely. And all my research I've done on this Brad Sherman, all it seems to do is he hasn't got anything positive that he wants to do for the San Fernando Valley. It seems that all he wants to do is impeach our current President Trump. Tell me about that. And what.
Well, his desires to impeach President Trump at this point is really just to advance his own political career because he has no concerns, no desire to help the San Fernando Valley. He only wants to help himself in his rise in his political career. So he's trying to impeach him. He's not going to succeed because there was no obstruction of justice, as everybody knows. So it's only him. It's just Brad Sherman's about himself, and that's it.
Okay, so he's not dealing with the current issues like homelessness, addiction, veterans care, business regulations. I mean, he's not dealing with that. He's more focused on trying to impeach our current president, which is all a negative.
It's all a negative. And this is where everybody gets lost in the national issues, when realistically our congressman should be dealing with the local issues, like you say, homelessness. We're watching an epidemic of homelessness right now, every street corner. And yes, the faith-based organizations, the private organizations, the county and the state, are doing great for people who want help on a voluntary basis. But we need somebody who has leadership capacities, like myself, who's going to put a compulsory program into place. And I have a very detailed program on my website. We need to be able to bring these people in, have federal short-term and long-term mental health care hospitals to deal with the mental health care issues that these people are facing, because they are. You listen to all the neighborhood councils saying, oh, they don't have mental health issues. Living on the street is a sign of a mental health care problem right off the bat. They're not working within society. They're not working within the laws and the frameworks of society. They're antisocial. Then you have massive drug addiction problems. And we need somebody who can look forward. Really, as the Democrats say, think forward, progression. No, they're backwards, they're regressive, they're extremely destructive. They're not offering any solutions to the problems that we're facing in the San Fernando Valley.
How are you firstly going to address the homeless issue?
Like I said, we're going to establish 30-day intake centers where the police department can enforce the vagrancy laws. First thing I'm going to do is sit down with the ACLU. As Congressman-elect on November 7th, I'm going to contact the ACLU and I'm going to say, look, what are you guys for? How do you guys want to address this? Here's my plan. Because the biggest problem the ACLU does is they continually set up lawsuits and they drag it out. I don't want it dragged out. This is how leadership steps into place. Is you find your opponents, the people that are going to stop it. You sit down with them. You say, "Look, this is what needs to be done. I want to know your plan. Let's come together. Let's formulate a solid plan and make it happen. Because I want it happening within 6 months after my swearing in January." So the plan, though, Victoria, is realistically a 30-day intake center. So the worst of the worst get picked up first by the police departments. They're given the opportunity either to go to jail, where 70% of the inmates have drug addiction problems or mental health care issues. They're given the opportunity to go to the 30-day intake center where they're completely assessed. You find their family background as well. You contact them. You find out it's been a long time, lifetime issue, whether it's this way as a child, or the drug addiction problems. You get the family input and you let them know that their family member is safe. You do a complete assessment of them. You find out if it's mental, if it's drug addiction, you get the resources they need. If it's mental health care, that's why I said the feds have to step in with short-term and long-term mental health care facilities to be able to give them the drugs and the counseling that they need. Because now they give them the drugs, they see a therapist, they give them the drugs, they go fulfill the prescription, they go out and they sell those drugs and they buy the drugs they want because they want to self-medicate. This is all part of the cycle they have. People have said, have you done a cost assessment? It costs, for the first year of incarceration, from prosecution, from arrest to prosecution to putting them in jail, it's $178,000 for 1 year. Yeah, so you're trying to tell me, or these people who are critics of the plan, trying to tell me where's the cost, where are you going to get the money from? Recidivism rate. Think about the amount of times these guys are arrested, re-prosecuted, put into jail for some stupid crime for 1 year, $178,000 a pop. But not only that, it's creating dangers within our communities.
And it's a revolving door because it's a jail overcrowding, so they're coming out and then the whole process goes on again.
Exactly.
And again.
They get worse in jail. That's the thing, is they get worse in jail. This is where judicial reform and prison reform has to take place.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, tell me, how are you going to address the veterans' care?
Well, the Veterans Administration overall is going somewhat in the right direction with the choice program. It needs to go further. I believe that when you're booted out, you get a complete assessment of all of the medical benefits that you have. You're given a card. You can go to anywhere, any facility in the world, because you've earned these benefits. You see whatever doctor, whatever hospital you need, you go in, you swipe the card, the VA becomes a paymaster for that service that you've received. If you have another issue that shows up, you have to go to a VA to be reassessed and have that benefit put on your card. But I honestly believe that the VA system needs to go to that direction to give the veterans the services that they've earned.
Yeah, amazing. Now tell me about business regulations. How are you going to address that?
I think that President Trump is on the right direction with that, of cutting the regulation. For every one regulation, he's cut 3. I mean, we need to do the same thing in the state. So I'm going to push for becoming the chair of the Republican caucus of the state of California. And I'm going to force the state of California to start reversing a lot of the regulations that are there, because you talk to any business owner here, and this is such a regressive state with businesses, it's unbelievable.
Thank you so very much for coming to my home today and telling us a bit more about yourself, which is just so wonderful. And I want to just close out by saying, will you let us know exactly where to find you, how to follow you, and everything?
You can find me at my website at Mark Reed for Congress. You can follow me on Twitter at Mark Reed 1776 or Facebook Mark Reed 2018. But the biggest thing is remember, this election isn't really about Republican or Democrat. It isn't about right or left. It's about values. It's about American values. It's about what do you stand for. This is why it's so important for you to go to the polls. When you look at the Congress, when you look at your congressman, does he represent your values? My answer is an absolute no. So get out and vote.
Thank you again, Mark. I really, really appreciate it.
I extremely appreciate it. Thank you.
So stay tuned for our next episode of Redstall's Red Flags. For more information, log on to markreedforcongress.com.